At my son's high school graduation, my parents announced they were taking his college fund and giving it to my nephew, Larry, instead. My husband, Mark, just laughed and said, "That's funny because we moved it last month." My parents went crazy when they realized it was true. We were at a nice steakhouse for Ethan's graduation dinner. Ethan had worked so hard and got into his dream college. This dinner was meant to celebrate his achievements, but my parents ruined it. Right after we got our drinks, my mom tapped her glass to get everyone's attention and proudly announced, "We've decided Ethan's college fund will go to his cousin Larry instead. He needs it more." Everything went silent. I was shocked, and Ethan looked devastated. My dad nodded like it was perfectly fine, saying, "It's best for the family. Larry's been having a hard time, and this will help him get back on track." Larry was my brother's son, and my parents had always favored him over my kids. They kept helping him even when he messed up over and over again. Mark spoke up before I could. He calmly said, "That's funny because we moved the college fund last month." My parents were stunned. My mom's smile disappeared. "What?" she snapped. Mark explained, "We knew something like this would happen, so we moved Ethan's money where you couldn't touch it." Then they exploded. My mom turned red and started yelling, "You had no right." My dad slammed his hand on the table, shouting, "That money was meant for family." I finally spoke up, "Ethan is family, and that fund was his. You had no right to try and take it." My mom angrily said, "Larry needs this. Your brother is struggling as a single dad, and you're ruining everything." I realized then that my parents never intended for that money to go to Ethan. They had always planned to give it to Larry. Ethan was hurt and angry. He stood up and said, "I don't need anything from you. I don't need your money, and I definitely don't need you in my life." Mark stood up too, guiding Ethan away. "Let's go. We don't owe them another second of our time." I stood and looked at my parents. "You've shown us who you are, and now we'll never forget it." As we walked away, my parents screamed that we were ungrateful and tearing the family apart, but I knew we had made the right decision. I didn't realize how far my parents would go to try and get that money back. First, they bombarded us with angry calls and voicemails. My dad left threatening messages saying, "You'll regret this." My brother sent me a text saying, "You're being selfish. Larry needs the money more than Ethan." I didn't even reply. Then the real trouble started. About a week later, Mark got a call from the bank. I heard him say, "What withdrawal?" and my stomach dropped. When he hung up, he looked furious. They tried to access Ethan's fund. They called the bank, pretending to be us, and claimed there was a family emergency. I was shaking. Did they get the money? Mark shook his head. "No, the bank caught on that something was wrong and called me to confirm." I called my dad immediately, my voice trembling with anger. "You actually tried to steal from us? What's wrong with you?" He didn't even sound guilty. "You left us no choice. You're being unreasonable." "Unreasonable? You tried to commit fraud," I yelled. "It's our money," my dad snapped. 3 days later, we got our answer. When I got home, I saw a big envelope on our doorstep. It was from a lawyer. My hands were shaking as I opened it and went inside. Mark was in the living room. "What's that?" he asked. "They're suing us," I whispered. Mark's head snapped up. "What?" "They're saying they helped fund Ethan's college savings, and we moved the money without their permission. They're claiming they own part of it." Mark grabbed the papers from me, his eyes narrowing as he read. "This is complete nonsense," he muttered, but I was scared. My parents were good at lying and twisting things to make themselves look like the victims, and in court, that could be dangerous. We spent days gathering all our documents, bank statements, deposit records, everything. Then, my parents pulled a sneaky move. At the next lawyer meeting, they showed a receipt from over 10 years ago. They had made a one-time deposit of $2,000 into Ethan's college fund when he was a baby. They sat there, smug, while their lawyer argued that since they had contributed even a little, they had the right to fight us for the money. $2,000? I almost laughed. "You think that gives you control over the entire fund?" My mom just smiled and said, "It was a contribution. Without it, you wouldn't have saved as much as you did." I was furious, but Mark kept his cool. "So, just because you gave a one-time gift years ago, you think you get to decide where all the money goes?" My dad nodded. "Exactly." I felt like screaming. Weeks later, the court made a decision. They ruled that my parents had no control over the fund, but we had to pay them back their $2,000, with interest. It was a small win since they couldn't touch the rest of the money, but it still felt like a loss. My parents were showing me just how far they were willing to go to hurt us for standing up to them, and they weren't done yet. Not even 2 weeks after the court ruling, Mark walked into the house looking pale. They reported us, he said. Reported us? To the IRS? I asked. They're accusing us of tax fraud. I stared at him. Are you serious? They told the IRS we've been hiding money and misreporting our finances for years. I gripped the counter. This is insane. Mark nodded, his face grim. Yeah, and now we're under investigation. In that moment, I realized this wasn't just about the money anymore. My parents were trying to destroy us, and if they wanted a fight, I was ready to give them one. I thought the lawsuit was the worst thing they could do. I thought having to give back a chunk of money to my greedy, selfish parents was the end of it, but I was wrong. When the IRS showed up at our door, that's when I realized my parents weren't just after the money, they were trying to ruin us completely. I quickly looked over the letter, my hands shaking. This can't be real, I whispered. It's real, Mark said quietly. Then came the phone call. An IRS agent politely explained that someone had reported us for hiding money and doing illegal transfers. We knew who did it, but proving it was another story. For the next few weeks, we drowned in paperwork, tax records, bank statements, anything we could find to prove we were innocent. Thankfully, our finances were clean, but the investigation was still a huge hassle. The worst part? It affected Ethan's financial aid. His college froze his scholarship while they looked into the IRS review. My parents weren't just after the money, they were trying to ruin his future too. That was my breaking point. If they wanted a fight, I was ready to give them one. I started digging. I knew my parents had secrets. They were experts at lying and twisting the truth. If they wanted to play dirty, I would too. It didn't take long to find something. Years ago, Mark had helped them set up a rental property, handling all the paperwork, but they'd been hiding the rental income for years. They thought they were untouchable, but they'd messed up. I made a call. I didn't report them yet, but I let my mom know what I'd found. I called her, and she answered, smug as always. Oh, so you're ready to apologize? I almost laughed. No, I'm calling to tell you I found the real tax fraud in this family. There was silence, then she scoffed. What are you talking about? Your rental income, the money you didn't report for the last 15 years. She sounded shocked. You have no idea what you're talking about. Oh, I do, I said coldly, and so does the IRS, unless you drop this and stop with the threats. Her tone changed. You wouldn't. I smiled. Try me. She hung up without another word. 2 days later, we got a call from the IRS. Our case was suddenly no longer a priority. A week later, Ethan's college funds were unfrozen. They had backed off, for now, but I knew they wouldn't stop, and I was right. Late one night, we were asleep when we heard glass shatter. I thought I was dreaming, but then I heard footsteps in the house. Mark grabbed the baseball bat by the bed and told me to call 911. My hands were shaking so much I almost dropped my phone. Then we heard a voice. Mom? Dad? Ethan? Panic hit me. Ethan had heard the noise and was coming downstairs. Stay in your room, Mark shouted. Too late. Ethan came into the hallway just as we did, and that's when we saw him, Larry, standing in the living room, drunk, with a crowbar in his hands. No one moved for a second. Then Larry stepped forward. Where is it? He slurred. Mark gripped the bat tighter. Where's what? The money, Larry shouted. I deserve it. They promised it to me. I realized then, my parents had sent him. They couldn't take the money themselves, so they sent their grandson. Larry stumbled toward us with the crowbar raised. You think you can just take what's mine? Ethan stepped forward, fists clenched. It was never yours, he said firmly. Now get out. Larry laughed, bitter and broken. Oh, yeah? What are you going to do about it? That's when Mark swung the bat, not at Larry, but at the wall next to him. The loud crash snapped Larry out of his drunken state. He backed up, eyes wide, and without saying another word, he ran out the door. The police arrived 10 minutes later. They arrested Larry for attempted burglary. My parents bailed him out before sunrise. Then my mom called. You've gone too far, she hissed. You had him arrested. I almost laughed. He broke into our home with a weapon. That's on you. There was a long silence. Then she whispered, you'll regret this. For the first time, I truly believed she meant it. This wasn't over. 2 weeks after the break-in, my brother called. He wanted to meet. It's gone too far, he said tiredly. Mom and Dad are a mess. Larry's a mess. We need to talk. I almost laughed. Now he wanted to talk? After letting our parents use him like a pawn? But Mark convinced me. Maybe this is our chance to end it, he said, to get some answers. So, we agreed to meet. The family meeting was set for Sunday at my parents' house. Walking in felt like walking into a war zone. Mark and I arrived first. Ethan refused to come. I'm done with them, he said, and I didn't blame him. I looked at my parents. They sat stiffly on the couch, looking angry. My mom's face was tight, and my dad wouldn't even look at us. Then my brother walked in with Larry. My whole body tensed. Larry looked terrible, thin, with dark circles under his eyes. His usual smug attitude was gone, replaced by something fragile. My mom gestured for us to sit, but I stayed standing. Let's just get this over with, I said. My brother sighed. Look, we all messed up. Mark scoffed. We messed up? I didn't mean it like that, my brother said quickly. I mean, this isn't what Mom and Dad wanted. I laughed bitterly. They wanted to steal from my son. They used Larry to break into our house. So, tell me, what exactly did they not want? Larry spoke then. His voice was rough. I didn't mean to hurt anyone, he mumbled. I thought it was mine. His words made me sick. You thought it was yours? Why? He swallowed hard and glanced at my mom. I saw the guilt on her face. She wouldn't look at me. Mark noticed too. He leaned forward, his voice calm but dangerous. Tell us, Larry, why did you think it was yours? Larry hesitated, looking nervously at my mom, and then it hit me. Oh my God, I whispered. You told him, didn't you? My mom flinched. I turned to Larry, my heart pounding. They told you it was already yours, didn't they? That Ethan's money was yours all along? Larry's eyes darted around, his face pale. My mom spoke before he could. We had to, she snapped. He was struggling. Your brother was struggling. We had to give him hope. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. So, you lied to him? You told him his future was safe with money that was never his? My dad finally spoke, his voice sharp. What does it matter? You and Mark have good jobs, a house, a stable life. Larry had nothing. What kind of sister are you to just watch while your nephew struggled? That was it. Something snapped inside me. I took a step forward, my hands shaking with anger. What kind of parents are you? I hissed. You have 2 kids, but you always treated me like I didn't matter. You gave everything to him. I pointed at my brother, who shrank away from me, and now you expect me to just give away my son's future because of your guilt. My mom jumped to her feet. We did what we had to do. No, I snapped. You did what you always do. You chose my brother over me, and this time, you got caught. Silence filled the room. Larry shook his head, his face crumbling. You lied to me, he whispered, looking at my mom like he was seeing her for the first time. Larry, she started, reaching for him, but he pulled away. No, 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 you promised me, he whispered, his breathing shaky. You swore I wouldn't have to worry about college, that I was set. He looked at my dad. And you knew. My dad's silence said everything. Larry let out a shaky laugh. Then he turned to me. I'm sorry, he said, his voice breaking. And for the first time, I saw the truth. He finally understood he had been used just like we had been hurt. He turned and walked out. I didn't stop him. My parents tried to make excuses. They shouted, they ranted, they said I was overreacting, that I was tearing the family apart. I just said, we're done. And this time, I meant it. My brother tried once to reach out after that day. He apologized, admitted he had let things go too far, and that he had trusted our parents too much, but I wasn't ready to forgive. Larry, surprisingly, stayed out of trouble. He got a job, took classes at a community college. Whether it was guilt, shame, or a real wake-up call, I'll never know, but I hoped, for his sake, he had finally learned. As for Ethan, he went to college, the college he earned. My parents never got a cent of that money, and they never saw us again. Cutting off your parents, even when they never truly loved you the way they should have, feels like mourning the dead, but sometimes, it's better to bury the past than let it keep hurting you, and I chose to live. The end.